dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani latvam sochitum harasi. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Purport. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body. Not that there is no such thing as a soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity, resulting from the interaction of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously.
Okay. So Prabhupada is making the point about violence, that generally violence is not encouraged, but ahimsa is not the highest principle of religion. In Buddhism, it is the highest principle of religion. For the Buddhism, you know, that's how they understand religion. Simply non-violence, ahimsa. Everything is non-violence. But we think of violence and non-violence as being something which is not the highest principle of religion. One may be non-violent, it doesn't mean he's a great, pure-hearted soul. And Prabhupada points out that there is proper use of violence. Generally, a devotee will be non-violent. And now Arjuna is certainly a devotee. But at the particular point in this situation here on the battle of Kurukshetra, the situation requires that Arjuna has to make proper use of violence. Earlier, Prabhupada had given examples about violence. Do you remember? Anyone can remember some examples? Proper use of violence. Ramya Mataji, do you remember?
Guru Maharaj, proper use of violence. Difficult question.
Do you ever get violent with your children?
Not physically, verbally sometimes.
Oh, that's good. Nice to hear that.
It was for Krishna, right? When they had to make the war, for example, there was going to be violence, but it was for Krishna.
Yes. Well, of course, this is a situation at Battle of Kurukshetra, that because Krishna's ordering, so we could say this is proper use of violence. Yes. If you accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, what about, somebody else? And not everybody will accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So is there proper use of violence in normal life?
Yes, for the good of society, for example, let's say. Okay. In this case, like we saw it in Krishna, like when there was the war and he had to fight against the other one. He had to fight against his family and everything and his friends. But it was for the good of all community, of all the place they were in. That's how much I understand, because I'm still a newbie here. I am a new person here. I don't understand all the concepts, so I'm just trying to get it. But I guess that would be a reason why, for the good of everybody.
Yeah. Can anyone think of any examples where the government or the state may use violence in a justified manner?
To
Unjustified?
protect its borders. To protect its borders.
To protect its borders, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we see that going on. That goes on a lot, doesn't it? You know, country, India and China, they fight over the border. You know, this is my land. No, it's my land. You know, it's a useless land. It's a useless, uninhabited mountain somewhere. But they're claiming this belongs to me, belongs to our country. No, it's our country. And they make a war and many people die. I don't know if that's really proper violence, but certainly violence does come. No, in Manu Samhita, there is an example about proper use of violence. Do you remember? We read it earlier. Prabhupada quoted Manu Samhita. The example was a murderer. If someone is a murderer, then it's proper for him to be hanged or for him to get the death penalty, because he's done something very sinful. He's killed a human being. And so the punishment for that is he should be killed. He should get death. So that's proper use of violence. Sometimes also you get, you know, uprising within a country. There may be revolution. There may be something like that, some kind of coup to overthrow the government. So at such a time, then violence may have to be used. And it's not really wrong. It's proper use of violence. So these are some examples.
Maharaj, I have another example.
Yeah?
The example is I have to get some violence against my mind. When he wants to eat some more ice cream or sleep more or don't chant the rounds, you know, and so on. I have to be really violent because my mind, he wants to drag me, you know, on the wrong direction. So for me, I have really to be violent. Because sometimes I hear, oh, you know, you have to be, yeah, spiritual life, it's difficult and I have to be violent. I have to, with my mind. That's the example I wanted to give.
So how do you do it? What do you do to your mind?
I just oblige him to chant the rounds and to get up, and I don't listen to him.
Okay.
And ask Prabhupada.
Neglect the mind. Yeah.
Yes. And ask Prabhupada and Krishna to help me to neglect the mind. Yeah. To be controlled.
Okay. So, but we see in Buddhism, you know, they give the greatest emphasis on ahimsa. That this is that they consider this to be the highest principle of religion. But in Krishna consciousness, rather we speak about we would consider violence, non-violence, to be sub-religious principle. What would be the highest principle of religion then? In Krishna consciousness, what's the ultimate principle of religion?
Pleasing Prabhupada. Please. No.
Pleasing who? What do you think would be? You said pleasing Prabhupada. Well, if Prabhupada's your guru, if you consider Prabhupada like that, your guru, and then your guru is representative of God. So by pleasing the guru, then you're pleasing God. So the ultimate
Yes.
principle of religion is to give pleasure to God. Yeah, we would speak about developing love for God as being the highest principle of religion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that the goal of life is to develop love for God. So that is higher than simply ahimsa. Okay, so this is like the final verse in relation to discussion about the difference between the body and the soul. Do you remember why is this being discussed? What is the purpose? Anyone? Why did Krishna talk about this difference between the body and the soul?
It's because Arjuna doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to kill his parents and friends and relatives.
So, what's this got to do with the body, with killing his relatives?
Because he's not killing them. I mean, the soul is eternal, so he's just killing the body.
Okay, yeah. Arjuna was talking about compassion. Arjuna was thinking that, we should be compassionate, it's not good to kill. We should be compassionate. What did Krishna say about Arjuna's compassion? Did Krishna appreciate Arjuna's compassion? What did he say? How did Krishna respond to that?
He says the sage never laments for the living or the dead.
Yeah, right. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Krishna chastised Arjuna. He said, "Oh, Arjuna, you're speaking so learned words, but you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead." So does it mean a wise person is cold-hearted? He has no feelings, he has no emotions? Right? He doesn't have any feelings, he's cold-hearted. He doesn't care about the suffering and the pain which people go through when they see people die. Is it like that?
No.
What is it? Why not?
No, because I think it is doing the right. That's why.
And what do you mean the right? What's right?
The decisions.
The decision to fight.
Yes.
The decision to take part in the battle was right.
Yes.
Yes. But at this point, Arjuna hasn't made any decision. Krishna just wants to correct Arjuna's thinking. Because Arjuna was talking about being compassionate, and being caring, being considerate of others. But Arjuna his compassion was all based on the body. It was based on the skin and the body. But therefore Krishna is teaching, he's been speaking several verses now. He's been speaking that the body is just a dress. It's just the covering of the soul. It's like the vehicle. If you're in an accident, the car gets damaged, but you're okay, then it's not so bad. But if you're in an accident and you get injured as well, then it's really serious. The car can be repaired, and the body may be repaired, maybe not. We don't know. So we have to understand what is proper compassion. Actual compassion is not based on the body. It's based on the soul. Spiritual compassion. So how do we show spiritual compassion to people? What are you going to do to show compassion? Compassion is a good quality, but it should be based on the soul, it should be on the spiritual platform. Therefore, how can we actually show genuine compassion to others? Fernando, do you know?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Maybe I was wondering, sharing love by sharing food for their souls and sharing good thoughts, Lord Krishna thoughts, good words.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, give them some nice prasadam and teach to them some message from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Yes.
That's spiritual compassion. And also, let them hear the holy name. That's very simple. Let them hear the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Very powerful. That can change their heart.
Yes, sure, sure.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. Next verse.
Tanmay Prabhu, do you want to read this?
Moment, please. It's okay? Svatharmam apicha vishya navikampitu arhasi tramhyadi yudachte niyat kshatriyasya na vidyate.
Translation, Ramya Mataji.
Yes. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Purport. Out of the four orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration is called Kshatriya. Shast means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the sword was killed, it would be offered the royal order of sermentation. This system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriyas king of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyasa or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious book, it is stated, Ahavesu mito nayonam jiganam santo mahashriyaka yugdo manaha param shaktya sarvagam yanti apram mukhe yajtestu pasavo brahman hanyate satyanam divyoja samskrata kile matriyasa tepi swagam avapunvanam. In the battlefield, the king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death. As the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animal in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principle and killing animal in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be the act of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principle involved. The animal sacrifice gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form of another. And the Kshatriyas killed on the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. These are two kinds of Shavadharma's specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principle in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's Sarvadharma specific duty becomes spiritual and not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conception of life, there are specific duty for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. Shavadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Sarvadharma is called Varmasarama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnasvarma Dharma on specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the order of higher authorities serve to elevate one to the higher status of life. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining here about Swadharma, the specific duties. So people are of a, everyone is of a particular nature. Now, particular nature, we have our own individual nature and individual qualities. And we see in society all over the planet, not only in one country, but everywhere, all over the planet, we see some people are the intellectual kind of people who like to study, and other people are more administrative and managerial. And then you have also the business kind of people who like to buy and sell things. And then you have the ordinary workers. So these 4 divisions of society are everywhere. When Buddhism was propagated, the Buddhism was propagated throughout India on the basis that this division of society into varnashram was wrong. The Buddhists argued that everybody is equal. So if we ask people today, is everybody equal? No, certainly we can see, no, it's not true. Even when I go to a communist country, if I ask people there, is everyone equal? Then they will say no. But of course, they're supposed to be equal. Materially, we're not equal. Materially, we can see there's big differences. Somebody's an intellectual, somebody's a manager, he has this power to control and to order and to be in charge. Somebody's more inclined to do business and make money and make a profit, and other people, they need to be taken care of, they need to be told what to do all the time. So we see 4 divisions in society, and these are the 4 divisions of the varnashram, right? The Brahmin is intellectual, who like to study and who are philosophical. So the Brahmana's duty is to, worship the deity and teach people also to do these things. And Brahmana's duty is also to study scripture and teach the scripture. And the Brahmana can also take charity, and he can also give charity. These are the duties of the Brahmana. So Brahmana, not everybody has that nature to be like a Brahmana. The Brahmana is considered like the head of the social body. Just like in a body, we have a head, and we have arms, and we have a belly, and we have legs. So similarly, in the social body, we have the head, the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are meant to guide, just like the head guides the body, the Brahmanas are meant to guide the society, materially and spiritually. But then you have also people who are Kshatriya, just like Arjuna is a Kshatriya. You know, he's a powerful king. He's the son of a king anyway. He has that power to give orders to people and to control people. Of course, the business of the Kshatriya is to give protection to others, not to harm people, but to protect people, to protect good people, and to protect the good people from the bad people. And when there are bad people, then the Kshatriya has to deal with them, and they have to punish them, and they have to sometimes even kill these people. So this is the Kshatriya. He has to have this kind of power. And then the Vaishya, he will do things like farming and cow protection, as well as banking and trading. These are all duties of a Vaishya. We need farmers. Farming is a very pious profession, the most pious profession. To work on the land and to grow crops, take care of cows is also very pious. So Vaishya has that duty, and then the Sudra is a worker. He's engaged by the other people. The Vaishya will employ him. The Kshatriya will give duties also to the Sudras. He'll have people do different things. So in this way, 4 divisions, this is all called Swadharma. One should know what is one's Swadharma, what is our particular nature. So from Bhagavad Gita, we'll see later on when we read the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's described that this Swadharma is determined not by birth, but by guna and karma. Guna meaning quality and karma meaning activity. So by one's quality and activity, one can understand what his swadharma or what his duty, what his specific duty is. It's important to know what is our actual duty. If we don't know what our swadharma is, then we won't know how to act, what we're supposed to do. So Prabhupada is pointing out this, that we have material swadharma and spiritual swadharma. So on the material platform, we have varnashram. Again, I said not by birth, but by quality and work. But because in the past, the varnashram system was based on birth, it became very unjust. And the Brahmanas took advantage of the other people. The Brahmanas became corrupt and degraded, and they took an unfair advantage of the other people. The 4 divisions of society are there, described as being part of a body. They're meant to cooperate together. Just like in the body, the hands and the legs cooperate with the belly and the head. The Brahmana is the head, the Kshatriya the arms, the Vaishya the belly, and the Sudra the legs. So the parts of the body all work together in cooperation. They help each other. Not that they exploit one another or take advantage of each other. That's what happens. And that's why the system of varnashram failed, because people didn't follow it properly. So also Prabhupada talks about how a Kshatriya fighting, that's his duty. And by fighting on the battlefield, he can go to heaven. Because it's a very pious thing to fight in the battle and to die on a battle. But the battle is fought based on religious principles. In other words, fighting takes place between equals. People should be equally matched. Then it's a fair fight. If they're not equally matched, then it's not fair. So the wars today are not fought according to religious principles. So when people fight today, they don't go to heaven. They don't get a good destination. Okay, are there any questions on this?
Guru Maharaj, you told two, material Swadharma and spiritual Swadharma.
Yes.
Yeah, so I understand our spiritual Swadharma is for everyone is to chant like that, right, Guru Maharaj?
Yes. Everyone's a servant. On the spiritual platform, everyone is a servant of Krishna. That's on the spiritual platform. That's our spiritual Swadharma.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. Yeah. Now the system of Varnashrama is not there, so it will be difficult to find out one specific duty, right, Guru Maharaj? How to we don't know what to do. Like everybody studies engineering, everybody studies doctor, like that. But yeah, it's difficult to find it out, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, practically everybody in this age is Sudra. Everyone is working. They take up work in some multinational corporation. That is all Sudra work. Engineering, it's Sudra work. This is all the business of Sudras. Of course, when we go on, become like a Kshatriya, become a big politician. It's described, we were in this purport here, Prabhupada talks about how the Kshatriya kings, the Jaipur kings, that they had to go out into the jungle with a sword and they had to confront a tiger and kill a tiger before they could become the king. Before they could sit on the throne as the king of Jaipur, they first of all had to fight the tiger with their bare hands and cut off the head of the tiger and bring it back. And this way only then they could take the throne. So politicians, they create wars and they don't go out in the front. They don't lead the army. They sit back. They sit back in their safe house in the underground and they send their soldiers to go and fight. They're not really Kshatriyas, but they're leaders. They're leading the country. So this Kali Yuga like this. There are no real Kshatriyas. There's no real Brahmanas. You see, this is the problem. Because Maharaj Parikshit got cursed by the son of a Brahmana. And so the Brahmanas, they became proud. They lost all of their power. And that you got Buddhism. Buddhism came out as a reaction to the caste system. Because of the injustices of the caste system, Buddhism came up. Because the Brahmanas had become corrupt and degraded. And so the reaction was Buddhism came about. Because Lord Buddha rejected the caste system. He rejected it. He said, everyone is equal. So we agree, everyone is equal on the spiritual platform. But on the material platform, they're not equal. Spiritually, we're equal. Spiritually, we're all souls. But on the material platform, we don't see equality. There are differences. And according to these differences, people have to be engaged. They have to be given work according to their nature. Just like sometimes when there's a war, during Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada was in America, and America were sending young men to Vietnam to fight a war against Vietnam. The young men didn't want to go because they were not Kshatriyas. Their nature was not to be a Kshatriya, but they were being forced. They were being sent to the war. So this was improper. We have to understand a person's nature, and they have to be engaged according to their nature. Not everyone is a Sudra, but certainly you can, today the modern education trains people to be Sudras. I studied engineering myself. I didn't work very long in that profession, but that was what I studied at university. So we have to understand the person's nature. And it said actually anyone can become a Brahmana if they're properly trained and educated. So it doesn't mean that everyone will become a Brahmana, because not everyone is willing to undergo the training. Who's willing to accept the training? We don't find that everyone is willing. We ask people to follow 4 regulative principles. Oh, it's very difficult for people. They can't do that, then they cannot be a Brahmin. A Brahmana has to strictly follow the 4 principles: cleanliness, mercy, austerity, and truthfulness. This is the pillar of religion. So a Brahmana has to show that example. If Brahmana can't show that, if one can't do that, he's not a Brahmana. He may be a Brahmana in name, but he's not a real Brahmana, not in quality. So similarly, Kshatriya, he has to be very bold, and he's not afraid, he's not a cowardly person, but he's ready to fight when he's challenged. Okay. Are there any questions or comments about this?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. But the question was for you. I guess I just have a small comment because I really wanted to drop in today, even though I'm a bit stressed, obviously. Anyways, I wanted to say that here in Switzerland, they have no clue about Varnashrama, because everybody is, until a couple of years ago, everybody was sort of forced to do an army training, unless they needed to get a doctor's permission to not do it. And so basically it's kind of like, even for example, if there's a fight, even not just war, but anything like that, they don't take into account the person's natural inclination nowadays. And also that there's no training for spiritual life in any type of school out of the state, etc. So it's kind of like even they're taught kind of backwards. Like there's they teach you how Westerners are false information about the past, etc. So it's kind of like leads you, if for example you tell someone, or I want to be kind of Hindu, for example, well, they'll say, oh, all right, you're just gonna be like a idiot. So it's it is very difficult. But one thing, for example, I wanted maybe to conclude with is that by chanting the Maha Mantra, it's really sometimes the reaction is really swift of what happens, where some demonic or anything that you needed to be done in order to advance is really happens really surprisingly fast. In order to grow in spiritual life, if we have the inclination, it's like Krishna comes just in somebody else's form and just whooshes a sword around, or in a way.
Oh, you mean to help you?
To do what's the fastest thing that gets you on the path.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes, it's certainly true. There are countries in the world where they have like this. National service is compulsory. Everyone has to go to the military training for some time. In Singapore today, they still have this. In Taiwan also, they have this. It's limited, no? But during the war, like when the Vietnam War, then it was on a mass scale. And everyone, all the young men were being recruited. And of course, they didn't want to go. And they were hiding, and the police would have to come and look for them and get them and arrest them and send them off to the war, force them. So, yeah, you're right. People don't have that nature to be Kshatriyas. So, we have to recognize the need for proper training, proper education, you see. Real education is to bring out what is in a person. The teacher should be able to recognize what actual qualities the student has and how to properly engage them. By nature, there are people who are inclined to study and who are more intellectual. And by nature, there are people who have that controlling spirit and managerial ability. And then there's always people who are just interested to do business, make some profit, buy and sell. They're always thinking, wherever they go, they think, buy this, sell that. And other people, you do have a lot of people in the final category, the Sudra. They're told what to do. They're not very capable of looking after themselves. So they work for others, they work in the service of others, and they're taken care of by the business class of people, or maybe by the government, like that. So there's a need to recognize the qualities. Varnashram, of course, it's not present, but Prabhupada said, he said, just like some universities, they still teach languages like Sanskrit. Not many people study Sanskrit now, and not many people study things like Latin or Greek, but they keep these departments there. They still have the departments. In the same way, he said, we want to show people what is Varnashram. We want to show them that the ideal social system was described there in the scriptures. That it's a very ideal system for organizing society so that people are properly engaged, and people have the proper mood. When people are put into their proper situation, according to their nature, then they'll be satisfied, they'll be happy. Just like if you make someone a soldier, you give him a gun, but his nature is to be an intellectual, he's not going to be very happy. Or you put people in the factory to work in the factory, work in some conveyor belt, very boring for them, you know, they're not very happy because it's not their nature. They have they're more intellectual. They like to read. They like to study philosophy. So people's nature should be, they should be recognized, and people should be engaged in the proper manner. It's a very important point. And the Vedic society was like that. The young boys they would go to the guru, and the guru, they would stay with the guru for some time. Then the guru could see what is the nature of the boy, how he should be used. Should he get married? Most of the boys will get married. And the guru will say, yeah, this, but then some boys not very suited to marriage. They're more inclined to renunciation and to spiritual practice. They don't need to get married. The guru would understand these things. He would know what is the proper nature of the boy and how to properly situate him. Now it's different for girls. Nowadays we've got girl women engineers. You know, you've got so many women, they do all the things the men do. Actually, women also have a special nature, and that should be recognized and they should be taken care of.
Hare Krishna. It's really different from Varnashrama we're having now.
Well, we have Devi Varnashram. We don't have the traditional Varnashram, but we have what is called Devi Varnashram, that one should do whatever is required for the service of Krishna. Just like, you know, in the past, someone say, oh, I'm a Brahmana, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to clean. I'm a Brahmana. No, but nowadays, you know, you do whatever is required for the service of Krishna. That is the transcendental platform. I'm a servant of Krishna. So we do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. That is also our swadharma, servant of Krishna, recognizing that. And we'll do whatever is required for Krishna's pleasure. Sometimes we have to get a job, sometimes you have to do business, sometimes you have to manage, sometimes you have to do the puja and worship the deity. You have to do whatever is required. It's all service for Krishna. Nobody can say, well, I don't know this, I don't do that. No, I'm a Brahmana, I don't do that. Oh, I'm a Kshatriya, I don't do that. I only tell other people what to do. No. On the transcendental platform, everyone is servant of Krishna. And everyone is equal. Okay. Any other questions or comments? So now everyone knows what swadharma is, right? Because you'll come across this word often, swadharma, meaning our specific duty according to our nature. Now, sometimes it's an emergency situation. In an emergency situation, one may have to do the work of the Kshatriya. One may be a Brahmana, he may have to become a Kshatriya. Sometimes the Kshatriya may have to become a Brahmana. And we see examples. Who was it? He was a great Brahmana, he became a Kshatriya. Do you know? Who was a great Brahmana, became a Kshatriya?
Parasuram.
Parasuram, right. Parasuram, yeah. Very good, yeah. He killed all the Kshatriyas because the Kshatriyas have become so bad, so much corrupted, they're creating so much problem on the planet. So the Lord, although Parasuram is a Brahmana, he came as a Kshatriya and he killed the Kshatriyas 21 times. And who was the Kshatriya who became a Brahmana?
Arjuna.
No. Vishwamitra, right, Vishwamitra. Yeah, Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya, but he saw the power of the Brahmana. He was attracted when he saw Vashishta We saw Vashishta so powerful. He decided he wanted to become a Brahmana. So he went and he did a lot of tapasya, he did a lot of practice, and finally he became a Brahmana. So it's not eternal, these situations. These are bodily designations on the bodily platform. But on the transcendental platform, our position is Krishna Jiver Swarupahai Nitya Krishna Das. I'm a servant of Krishna. That is the position of our soul in relation to Krishna. You know, how many of us could take a sword and go into the forest and face a tiger? You know, we couldn't do it. You know, we're not so brave. But these Kshatriya kings, they could do it.
Hare Krishna. Sometimes I think we can still see the tendency for Kshatriya in certain people just because they like one person would like fighting or doing things the hard way, and at the same time they like having like a nice car and the glory, etc.
Well, it's not just fighting. Rather, the mood of the Kshatriya is to protect. The mood of the Kshatriya is to give shelter and care and protection to others. So the Kshatriyas they're known for their bravery and they're known for their charity also. They like to give a lot of charity for the benefit of others. They really take care of others. It's not just only being powerful and like to fight with others. And when they fight, they will fight with people who they're equals. They're not going to fight with a weaker person. They're going to find somebody who is equal to them, who can give them a good fight.
Yeah, they feel ashamed if somebody smaller and they don't want to fight them because they're
right. Yeah. Just like in France, there was a famous French Revolution, right? Why did they have the French Revolution? Because the monarchy of France were not taking care of the people. The people were starving. And the monarchy didn't do anything about it. It was said that they told the Queen of France, they told her that your people, they don't have any money for bread. You know, in France, they don't eat rice, they eat more bread. And so she said, they don't have money for bread. Why don't they eat cake? Yeah. This was her thinking, of course, if they if they don't have money for bread, then they won't have money for cake. And so the result of that was, there was a revolution, very historic, very famous revolution. And the monarchy all had to flee France. Many were beheaded. So that's what happens. That was the failure of the Varnashram, the Kshatriyas. They didn't do their duty. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And the same with the Brahmins. When the Brahmanas were corrupted, then Buddhism came. So you see how it is. That's why you get things like communism. Communism is a movement of Sudras. The workers, they take over because everyone else is corrupt. The Vaishyas are corrupt. The Vaishyas they only think of their own self, make a profit, exploit everybody. And so you get socialism and communism. And they think this is the people's government. So very sad state of affairs. Actually, we should have good monarchs. We should have good leaders. We should have good brahmanas. But because it's Kali Yuga. Everything is topsy-turvy. Okay, so I think we should chant japa now.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Bon weekend.
Thank you.
Jai.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Mataji. Thanks,
Thank you, Vaishnavi Mataji.
Thank you very much, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
The month, what the date Purushottam month is starting? Do you know, Mataji? Kamalakshi Mataji, do you know what date Purushottam month?
Purushottam Mata, I think by this month, if not mistaken, 18 Mataji. Let me check first and I message you, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.